Welcome to Primetime Super Friends. We promise to be the show that puts the arrow in your quiver, the bat in your belfry, and the flash in your pan. I'm Jeremy, your guide to all things Starling City, and I'm joined this week by just one of my super friends, our expert on all things relating to the fastest man alive, Michael.
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Conspicuous by his absence, of course, is John, our expert to the world of Gotham. He's off dealing with some moving and things of that nature this week. In the meantime, let's get this out of the way. This show is going to shoot spoilers all over your face, neck, and chest. So, if you're not caught up with all things related to these three shows, you should probably stop listening right now and go listen to our other better show, Pup Talk Podcast.
Super Friends, the legendary superpowers show.
Without any further ado, we're going to start things off with The Flash. Michael?
All right, so on the most recent episode of The Flash, and this one's probably going to be a lot shorter than the other two because there's only been one episode compared to the couple of the other ones. There was three pretty big themes. One, we finally get the episode with Felicity showing up in Central City. For those of you that don't know, I would hope you do because you listen to the show and we talk about Arrow, but Felicity is on Arrow. She comes to Central City to check up on Barry to see how he's doing now that he's out of the coma. She gets to see Barry's powers in action and visits Star Labs and meets the team. A lot of the episode is spent on Felicity and Barry being the perfect couple.
She's perfect for you. So what are you waiting for, Barry?
At one point, Iris and Eddie take Felicity and Barry out on a trivia double date. And when Felicity shows up, she's just in this banging black dress, clearly not just coming there to do trivia.
Damn, girl!
Right? She also shows her dorky side and laughs at the E equals MC Hammer joke, which, goddamn, it was funny to me.
Yeah, and it made her sexier that she
Right.
laughed at that.
So I'm not too familiar with the older seasons of Arrow, so I didn't see the crossover. What is up between those two from Arrow?
Well, they had I guess it was season 2 of Arrow. They had a little thing, because they're both sciencey and geeky and nerdy and whatever, and they had their little thing on Arrow when he came to Star City or Starling City to work on a case back in season 2 of Arrow. Barry did. Basically, they kind of flirted. They went to a dance together and kind of,
Okay.
What if? You know how it is on these types of shows. It was just you could tell that they were interested or whatever, but then Barry gets hit by fucking lightning.
Yeah. Okay, well, and speaking of Iris and Eddie, Joe finds out about them dating, starts giving Iris the silent treatment, pretty much tells Eddie to keep his personal shit out of their work, out of their police work. They're not friends, and they need to focus on their job. Later on, he lets Iris know that he's not upset with her. He's just not okay with the fact that if something were to happen to Eddie, what that could mean to their relationship. She doesn't want him to, Eddie dies, Iris blames her for letting, or Iris blames him for letting that happen, or just whatever. What could happen if something happened to Eddie? But everything seems to work out between that whole dynamic later on when Eddie kind of saves Joe in the line of fire. When Felicity went to go meet the Star Labs team, you have Dr. Wells starts talking about how he really knows who Felicity is and that he has foreseen great things for her. We've talked about it on the show in the past, thinking that he's probably from the future in some capacity. So it leads me to think, like, what does that mean for Felicity? What's going to happen with her in the future?
Yeah, what hero is she going to become?
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
The villain of this week was Captain Cold. He was named that later on in the show by Cisco. He seems to throw out all the crazy names, even though this is a legitimate character from the comic books.
I was glad to see them bust that nut.
Right? Yeah. The guy that got playing him is Wentworth Miller, dude from the show Prison Break. I think he did a pretty good job. He seemed bad, like a bad guy,
right?
Pretty ominous, had the bad guy look on his face. And I guess I gotta let it go with these comic book shows when they are a little bit too much on their characters, saying, to be cool or stuff about being. He said cool quite a few times throughout the show, and to chill and shit like that.
Yeah,
and like something about the heat being up. And
but the Flash it's just kind of a little corny. So
a little, it's not.
But it's supposed to be that way.
Yeah,
versus Gotham.
But yeah, I just got to go over there because it was funny. It didn't make me mad or annoy me as it did with that other show.
Or Batman and Robin. Freeze.
So yeah, Captain Cold, he's apparently a lifelong criminal known around the city. He knows the ins and outs of the police system. He knows how long it takes for cops to respond to any type of calls. And when something happens, and when they're in the middle of robbing an armored car, he notices that there was a response way too quick. So whatever happened didn't involve the military or the police, because he knows the response time, and the response time was way too fast. Which, at least with kind of an obsession, I guess, with the Flash, he does get his hands on a new weapon, I call it a Mr. Freeze type weapon. I don't know what the exact name of the weapon was.
Cold gun. Let's go with that.
Cold gun? That's exactly what it was. He got a new cold gun.
Call me Cisco Jr.
Ta-dong, ta-dong, dong, dong.
Well, I meant the guy from the show, but...
Yeah, he stole it from Star Labs. We later find out that this gun was created by Cisco as a failsafe in regards to Barry, just in case, what if this dude's crazy and he is a bad guy? We need to have something to stop him, which just instantly reminded me of Justice League Doom, because I've been watching that a lot lately. Batman's failsafes for all of the Justice League. But,
that cold gun.
Of course, seeing as this gun could potentially hurt Barry, and does throughout parts of the show, this Dr. Wells is his unusual, way overprotective self, and is not too happy about Cisco having created this gun. At the end of the episode, he gives Cisco a pretty stern, don't you ever do that again look, or he tells him, don't you ever do that again, with a look of like, motherfucker, I will stab you. Don't you know me? I will stand out of this chair and stab you in your fucking face. And then Cisco, of course, like, is this motherfucker crazy? I mean, it looked like, I don't know. It looked like he was pretty scared.
A little foreshadowing to Cisco, maybe starting to get a little suspicious of him.
Yep.
Maybe. We also had, I don't know if you were going to talk about it or not, but Cisco and Barry kind of got into it a little bit because of him not telling him about that gun.
Yeah, because if you're gonna be a team, you kind of should let that shit know. Once you find out the guy's cool, let him know, hey, I made this gun in case you were fucking crazy, and then let him decide what he's gonna do about it.
Right.
Once again, I guess, like Batman and Justice League Doom, because he kept that shit to himself.
Yeah, but Batman's allowed to.
Noted. During one of the encounters between the Flash and Captain Cold, Barry gets hit with this new cold gun. One, letting Captain Cold know that he's not invincible. He can hurt Barry. And he also learns that Barry, kind of a true hero, he's willing to let the bad guy go if there's people in danger. He uses that to his benefit during the show when he escapes him on a subway, causing an incident that could cause a subway train to crash, allowing Captain Cold to get away. So we find out Barry loves the people, willing to let the bad guys go for a short period of time.
Aww.
We do have the final showdown between Captain Cold and Barry. Barry gets partially put on ice, and Captain Cold's about to finish him off when Cisco and, I guess, Team Starlab shows up with a super freeze gun. Talks Captain Cold into letting Barry go and walk away.
It didn't even work, though, didn't it? Wasn't that revealed? It wasn't even really functioning. They just scared him with it.
It was Starlab's vacuum cleaner.
That's right, yeah.
Which, that vacuum cleaner was crazy looking. But I guess what do you expect? It's Starlab's.
I guess you could say that team sucks pretty hard.
We do get a scene after Felicity leaves. She's going back to, I guess, officially Star City. She's on a subway. Barry flashes, runs super quick, whatever, into the subway and talks to her. They talk about
they're fucking perfect for each other.
Perfect for each other, and then they talk about how Barry likes Iris. Did he mention something about her liking Oliver?
Yeah.
Okay, that was what I was going to ask you earlier. Does she have a thing for Oliver?
Oh yeah,
Oliver. She does. Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty evident towards the end of season 2 on Arrow, and then again at the beginning of season 3, and again on another episode that I'll be talking about later.
Okay, so they're gonna fuck.
Oh yeah, she's gonna fuck the Flash and the Green Arrow. She's gonna get all that super dick all up in that little mortal pussy.
Is that still a devil's three-way? If it's superheroes?
Well, I don't think it's gonna be at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So
it's not gonna be like a Arrow Flash Eiffel Tower.
It's more of a heroic train, which is ironic because she was talking to the Flash on a train.
Foreshadowing. That's awesome.
And she's probably going to get the Atom mixed in there too with Ray Palmer.
God, she is dirty.
Yeah.
I like her. At the end of the show, we see Captain Cold meeting with a mysterious figure, talking about fire and calls him Mick, which I thought it was kind of racist at first, but it wasn't. I guess that's just the dude's name. His name is Mick. And he gives him a high-tech weapon. Okay, so all of this leading up to, I'm assuming with the show title being called Going Rogue, the Rogues showing up throughout the Flash's run. Mick, in the comic books, his name is Mick Rory, and he goes by the name of Heatwave, one of the member of the Rogues. That was pretty much it for the Flash this week. Overall, I liked it. Loved the villain this week. Didn't seem cheesy at all to me, other than a couple lines which should have been there. It's a fucking comic book.
Yeah. Well, and I was glad to see them introduce kind of a big bad guy that got away and will come back later and everything, instead of it being, oh, he caught him and who's the next villain of the week.
Like, for sure he got away, not like with Multiplex. Like, it was a clone, but they don't say for sure. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I like the fact that they're gonna start seeing
the tie-in with Arrow too.
Right on.
Felicity.
With Felicity. Yep.
I assume that's going to be what they end up fighting over, is her. Arrow and Flash.
Yeah.
I would think.
Makes sense to me.
I mean, what do men fight over other than bitches and money?
Especially sexy bitches.
Right?
All right, so that's going to do it for The Flash this week. Next up, Jeremy's going to talk to us about Arrow.
So we've had 2 episodes of Arrow that we need to cover here, episodes 4 and 5 from season 3. And I'm just going to try to kind of hit the high notes on each of those so that we don't spend too much time on it. Episode 4, so 2 weeks ago, we start off, we find out that the League of Assassins had sent Sarah the Canary to Starling back, I guess back a few episodes earlier before she died. They had sent her to Starling to track Malcolm Merlyn after they had found out that he was still alive. And Nyssa Al Ghul, who had shown up at the end of the previous episode wanting to know where Sarah was, believes that Malcolm Merlyn may have been the one that killed Sarah because she was trailing him. We also find out that Thea, who's now back in Starling, she tells Oliver she's got quote-unquote investors that's going to help her buy back the club from Queen Consolidated so that she can start running it again to make some money. The Hong Kong flashbacks this episode revolved around Oliver was tracking someone that he was supposed to kill for Amanda Waller, and Oliver wanted to know why he's killing this guy, which he does kill the guy. So he demands a meeting with Waller. Basically, it's revealed that Waller was trying to take out this other lady, and Oliver had inadvertently prevented it. Anyway, Waller's trying to find this lady in Hong Kong and is going to use Oliver to help. Back with the Nyssa Sarah storyline, of course, Laurel comes into play, and they start off just hating each other's guts because I'm sure Laurel's going, this bitch fucked my sister. And unlike any man, she probably doesn't find that sexy. But it is.
I just don't understand how you couldn't find that sexy.
Right?
It's like, Laurel, have you seen these bitches? Holy fuck, man.
Yeah.
Care if it's your sister.
Well.
It's not you doing it. It's not like it's Laurel and her sister getting it on.
Right.
Because that would be...
But, yeah, anyway, we're going to move on from that. But yeah, so they start off... They just fucking hate each other, but by the end of the episode, Nyssa ends up getting a respect for Laurel, and Laurel actually asks Nyssa to kill Malcolm Merlyn since Oliver, the Arrow, isn't going to do it, which that's a recurring theme. Oliver's not killing now, and on top of that, I mean, fucking this dude is her sister's dad, so... That keeps coming up, and Merlyn actually says during one of their confrontations during the course of the episode, what are you going to do? You're going to kill your sister's father? I bet she'll love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got a point, man.
Foiled again.
God damn it. So they do track down Merlyn towards the beginning of the episode, and Oliver actually has a shot to kill him, but rather than doing that, he shoots an arrow that hits him with some sort of tracking device, and of course, Merlyn catches on to that and instead arranges a public meeting with Oliver and I guess what would be the equivalent of Times Square there in Starling City. It's just a fuckload of people running around, and they can have an anonymous conversation because no one's paying attention to anything that's going on around them. So he tells Oliver, hey, I'm a horrible piece of shit, but I didn't kill Sarah Lance.
I swear to you on Thea's life, I am not Sarah Lance's killer.
And, swears on Thea's life that he did not kill Sarah. Oliver believes him. Nyssa still does not. Malcolm Merlyn claims he came back to Starling just to protect Thea and nothing else. We've also still got Detective Lance. Still doesn't know Sarah is dead. He actually, towards the end of the episode, calls her phone, leaves kind of a fatherly, sweet little message or whatever. Oh, blah, blah, blah. He's going to find out eventually.
Has to.
Yeah, and he's going to probably have a heart attack when he finds out, and that'll probably be the nut drop at the halfway point of the season or something like that. We also get Roy and Thea are finally speaking to each other again. Thea actually asks Roy if he would like to be the assistant manager at the club. Strictly platonic, she says. I bet they fuck anyway. Thea and Oliver meet up to essentially discuss what is going on with Malcolm Merlyn, but without really talking about what's going on with Malcolm Merlyn, because, of course, Thea still does not know that Oliver is the Arrow. Thea lies to Oliver and says that a cop saved her at the end of season 2 when Malcolm Merlyn is actually the one that saved her from Deathstroke's people at the end of season 2. So Nyssa finds out that Thea is Merlyn's daughter and, of course, kidnaps her to get a shot at Malcolm Merlyn to kill his ass. Malcolm, again, pleads his case. He didn't kill Sarah. And he actually says, hey, you know what? Do you think Ra's al Ghul liked the fact that this bitch stole his daughter's heart? It was probably him.
Your father doubted Sarah's loyalties the moment you brought her home. You know your father, what he is capable of. He will kill without hesitation. Do you really need me to tell you what he would do to the degenerate who would steal his daughter's heart?
And we also had an interesting little tidbit. Malcolm Merlyn makes a comment about, hey, no prison can hold me, including that prison on the island, the one that Deathstroke was put in at the end of season 2. So I assume we're going to probably see Deathstroke get broke out of there based on that comment, which would be amazing. I loved that storyline. Felicity returns from Central City and has no idea what's been going on thanks to the episode of The Flash we just discussed. And then at the end of the episode, we have the big nut drop, and we get our first Ra's al Ghul sight. I'm sorry, it's Ra's al Ghul, not Roz. Fuck you. And he promises that Merlyn's going to pay for his crimes against the League, and Oliver Queen has entered into a war with them for the fact that he's protecting Malcolm Merlyn, which Oliver had told Nyssa, as long as he's in my city, he's under my protection. And that was that for that episode. What did you think of the appearance of Ra's al Ghul? What did you think of Ra's al Ghul? Just the appearance and the way they did it and everything.
I was okay with it.
I wish they'd trim his shit up a little bit more. His facial hair, yeah.
But they don't seem to really care too much about the facial hair exactly on that show.
And that's true, but that's just
a little bit more.
Yeah, it's just I'm just being picky about that.
Yeah.
I loved they had the outside shot of the lair. I thought that looked badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love the fact that Ra's al Ghul is going to be a regular character on TV. That's
pretty fucking awesome.
Fucking nut. And then getting into this past week's episode, it was kind of I felt like it was a little bit of a filler episode because it was kind of self-contained. It was really a story centered largely around Felicity. And her mom is in town. Throughout the episode, we get a lot of allusions to the fact that they just didn't get along. Felicity thinks her mom is stupid, and her mom thinks that, Felicity doesn't care about her because her and her dad are smart, and she got all her traits from her dad, nothing from her mom, blah, 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 generic storyline, blah. We get a lot of flashbacks back to the time when Felicity had dark hair and a boyfriend in college and whatever. They were part of a hacker group, and we see, at one point, we see a flashback where hack into some sort of mainframe that houses student loans. And I guess they were just trying to prove that they could do it, but this boyfriend character takes it a step too far, which his name is Cooper, by the way. Cooper takes this hacking a step too far, and he starts trying to actually erase all the student loans, which Felicity and this other roommate of theirs freak out, and they're, what the fuck are you doing? You're going to go to jail. And they try to back out of it real quick. Turns out to be too late. Dude gets arrested, and later on in the episode, we'll get back to that. Meanwhile, we've got Ray Palmer meets Felicity's mom, gives her a smartwatch that's going to come into play a little later on. So we find out Felicity actually coded a virus that she never intended for bad intentions or whatever, but someone got a hold of it. It's being used to attack Star City by a group calling themselves Brother Eye.
We are Brother Eye. Judgment has been rendered against this city. A sentence carried out. An earthquake. A siege. This is what comes next. A new life you will live on your knees. And it will take nothing more than the push of a button.
If you know comic books, that is a real group from the comic books. I guess they've adapted it a little bit, because in the comics it's like a cyborg group basically, and here it's a group of guys, essentially terrorists they cause a blackout. They say that's just the beginning, and then start attacking the city's infrastructure, the banking infrastructure specifically.
Seems probably a better fit for the show, other than the cyborg.
Oh, I would agree. Yeah, absolutely, more based in reality for sure. Our Laurel scenes this week revolve around she's decided she's got to talk to somebody about Sarah, and she can't talk to her dad. So she confides in her boxing instructor that her sister died, and he says, essentially, now your training can begin. And we get which color do you want, red or black? Definitely black. Because Black Canary, y'all, if you didn't know. Back to the Felicity storyline. Of course, Felicity and the mom get kidnapped. It's shown that her being in Star City is no coincidence. She stupidly answered an email for a free airline ticket round trip to Star City. Someone wanted her there, naturally. The moral here is don't reply to bullshit emails that promise you free things, people. You might get killed.
That dude in Nigeria is going to give me millions.
Okay, Michael.
I'm still waiting.
So, naturally, Felicity had said earlier in the episode that her ex-boyfriend couldn't be the suspect because he died in prison and blah, blah, blah. So, of course, he turns back up, and he's the mastermind of this terrorist group. He is the one that flew the mom in and everything. He says he faked his death in prison to go work for the NSA, and essentially saw that the world is bullshit. While he was working with the NSA, decided that now he's just going to steal a fuckload of money, because fuck the world.
Why not?
So now he wants Felicity to help him hack into some mainframe that even he can't hack into, where they're going to route a bunch of armored trucks to the door so they can rob that shit. Felicity manages to activate the GPS on the smartwatch I mentioned earlier, which causes Arrow to show up. But he doesn't save the day. Felicity whoops that motherfucker's ass on her own. Made her hotter.
I mean, what the fuck? What is she going to do next to get even hotter?
She's just got to take her clothes off.
That has to be the
right?
next step.
God willing. We might have to take a break from the show for a while. I just got to drain my body fluids if that happens. Of course, meanwhile, Roy and Diggle stop the actual robbery that was going down. And then we end this episode with a couple quick little things where... So, Thea had gotten an apartment using Malcolm Merlin's money, which Oliver early in the episode was not okay with, but through a series of conversations with Thea, he comes to realize he's essentially got to accept this, especially because she's saying she's going to pay him back. She actually asks Oliver to move into that apartment with her, and he kind of seems to agree to do so towards the end of the episode. And as we kind of pan back and see them watching TV in the living room together, we see Malcolm Merlin looking in, and possibly all part of his master plan, it looks like.
Dun, dun, dun.
But the real nut-dropping moment of the episode, at the very, very end of the episode, we find out Roy had mentioned he was having problems sleeping. And we see his, I guess, nightmares or whatever, and show him murdering Sarah. So we should find out what happens with that this coming week. And I really enjoyed the episode from 2 weeks ago with Nissa and League of Assassins and Ra's al Ghul and all that. I didn't mind this episode, but it was really self-contained, and it just felt like, other than the last couple moments, it didn't matter. This episode didn't matter.
Yeah, I liked going back an episode. I really liked. I can't remember if you talked about it, but just Laurel's descent into the darkness a little bit. The fact that she knows that Oliver would let Malcolm Merlin live.
Yeah.
And for Nissa to, if you need to find him so you can fucking kill him.
Right.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you know, she's going to get all that under control at some point.
But right now, kill all of them that had anything to do with anything.
Yeah.
Kill his dog. But I'm not saying kill his dog. It's
Laurel. That fucking whore.
that's horrible.
So yeah,
Something to watch.
It looks like we may get some more answers in this whole who killed Sarah thing this coming week. So that'll do it for Arrow. Next up, Michael's gonna take over for John this week and talk to us about the last couple episodes of Gotham.
Okay, so a couple weeks ago we had the show. The title of the episode was "Spirit of the Goat." During that episode, there was more of a shift. It focused more on Detective Bullock, leaving him to actually close the case of the week that week, while Gordon was dealing with all of his troubles over at MCU. The episode focused on a goat, a guy named the Goat. There was a case that Bullock solved several years back with his old partner. It was a serial killer. They thought they legitimately stopped him, but then it flashes forwards to the current time frame, and Detective Bullock walks up on a crime scene that's eerily familiar. It's exactly the same. It had the same MO as the case that he solved years ago with his other partner. Firstborn kid, of a well-off family, strung up. When they initially caught who they thought was the Goat, his partner was injured. You find out later that he can't walk and he's in a nut house. It was a nut house, wasn't it?
I thought it was just a retirement center, but maybe it was a nut house.
His friend was in a house. He was in a home getting some help.
Which I don't know if we're jumping ahead here, but I really liked when they went to visit him later.
Yeah.
And you see Bullock's like kind of a nice guy after all. He's trying to give this dude dirty magazines to read.
Detective Bullock, do you want to settle the bill for this month now, or should we send it to you?
You could just put it in the mail, thanks. Is he getting those magazines I ordered?
Those are awful magazines, Detective.
But he's getting them.
Yes, he is.
Good.
Yep, and kind of like what we talked about before, I don't remember the exact... You said the exact line. It's not that he's a...
Good cop, bad person.
There you go. You got to see that this episode, which was kind of nice.
Yeah.
You could kind of tell that he didn't want Gordon to see that side of him too. Not kind of. He made it clear that...
Well, and that's where he's trying to be a good person by giving this dude magazines, but they're porno mags.
There's nothing wrong with that, sir.
I'm not saying there is. I'm just saying...
But yeah, I got it.
It's not like he's giving him People magazine to read.
You can jerk it to people. I mean...
you could probably...
You can jerk it to Good Housekeeping.
Better Homes and Gardens.
Throughout trying to investigate the new goat killer, trying to figure out who the copycat is, they find out that the newest victim had I want to say it was a penny that was sewed into their forehead. And at that point, Detective Bullock instantly knew it couldn't be a copycat killer because nobody else knew about that except for himself, his partner,
and the killer
who's dead. So clearly it's not a copycat killer. And it was at that point where he goes and he does visit his partner and gives him the dirty magazines. Elsewhere in Gotham, we do see a little bit of Cobblepot, who's at home taking a bath. You have young Bruce, who accidentally left his one room that he never leaves window open, which allowed Selina, or Catwoman, able to break in.
What? You can't gloss over the fact that Penguin was taking a bath with his fucking mom, in the room with him.
What was wrong with that?
While he's naked and grown.
Isn't that normal?
No.
That's not normal?
No.
Oh. I'm not saying I did that.
I'm also wondering if that was ice water he was bathing in.
It would have been awesome if she almost became a fucking sponge bath.
Yeah. Dump a bucket of ice in there.
Or it's a little chilly. Just like I like it, mommy.
That was just, I thought that scene was awkward.
I kind of skipped past that because, it was creepy. Yeah. It was a little too awkward.
You may continue. Because
plus
creeped me the fuck out.
A lot of stuff that woman is into, she acts a little creepy. I don't know if it's her voice too. She's just a creepy ass woman. But Catwoman did do some cat burglaring at the Wayne Manor.
What the fuck did she steal? Do we know?
Do not know.
Guess we'll find out later, huh?
Yep.
Which
fancy feast.
By the way, yeah.
The fanciest feast. It was at Wayne Manor. Sprinkled with diamonds. Which was hungry.
Man, that's very for a kid that's like already Batman. He slept right through that.
Fell. He won't let that happen again. Now is when he starts sleeping, hanging upside down.
Right. And then she sneaks in and she just goes, "He's sleeping like a bat." And he's not even a man yet.
The two cops that have had it out for Gordon, we had Barbara's little freaky thing, and was she Montoya?
Yeah.
Oh, well, shit. Anyway, the two cops that have been out for Gordon, actually pretty much that whole crime unit, they got a witness. They found someone who said they saw Gordon shoot somebody, so they go to arrest him. Gordon was officially arrested for murder.
And Bullock for conspiracy.
And of course, when this happens, Gordon's like, "I didn't do it." That part was kind of funny to me. "I didn't do it." "Of course you didn't do it." The look on Bullock's face.
Right.
And then it's like,
"No, I really didn't do it."
Yeah. "No, I believe you, buddy." And in waddles Cobblepot.
And then, bam, Bullock punches Gordon.
Yep. In the midst of catching someone who they thought might have been the goat, Bullock, using his detective skills, notices a twitch that the guy has, which instantly he knows what's going down. So he goes and revisits the psychologist. I can't remember her name.
Dr. Sugartits.
Sounds good to me. He goes to visit Dr. Sugartits, and while she's in the middle of one of her sessions, she comes out. He breaks it down for her, and she realizes the jig is up. At that moment, she sicks one of her other guys on him.
Well, it was the guy she was talking to.
The guy that she was talking to, yeah. Sicks him on him. That dude spears Bullock. And the race is on. She takes off down the stairs. Bullock is able to get up and shoot that bitch from the second floor in the leg. That's skill.
That was some hardcore shit.
That was skill. Busted her.
I was a little surprised with everything that's gone on in the NFL lately that they showed him just shoot a bitch.
You thought for sure she was, somebody maybe tackle her later or something, or she'd get away. No.
Well, I was afraid he was going to like drag her up the stairs afterward.
Oh. It would have been funny if he would have like drug her into the elevator. But yeah, it was the psychiatrist making people do all this shit over all these years. That was the GOAT.
So what do you think of the episode?
I actually liked it.
Yeah, it was a big improvement from what it had been. There wasn't as much corny bullshit.
There was not. It was a nice turn. So there is hope for Gotham.
Yep.
Okay, so the next episode is called Under the Umbrella, and it opens with everybody, with the aftermath of everyone finding out that the Penguin is still alive. Of course, Bullock's still pissed off about the fact that Jim didn't kill Cobblepot, because Bullock knows that he's fucked now too because of Falcone. We do have Victor Zsasz this week, introduced as a hitman for Falcone.
He's fucking shooting motherfuckers left and right, and Zsasz doesn't use a gun.
Right?
Bothered the fuck out of me.
Because actually, is he a real person? So I pulled it up for her. He's like, all this says is knives.
Yeah, that's all he does is kill motherfuckers.
At least later on,
I get it. I get introducing him as a mob hitman, but why not have him use a knife?
Right. Maybe they'll go. Especially with a show that's trying to be so much on the nose. Yeah, that is a little.
Explain it later, maybe. But I did like they did show him do the tick mark. Yeah.
Because he kind of. That was pretty awesome. But you are right. That is weird for a show that has everything on the nose, that motherfuckers shooting people.
Like expertly shooting people. He reminded me of that game Hitman. Anyway.
It did. Yeah. It was. He could play that guy.
Well, because he was in a suit, bald head. Yeah.
Perfect. You did have the one scene where Victor goes into the police station, and all these motherfuckers, all these cops in there are just like, this mob dude said get the fuck out, so peace.
Deuces. You're on your own, bud.
I think my girlfriend summed it up perfectly while we're watching it. Pussies.
I can't say that I wouldn't have done the same thing, though.
Well, if I knew who it was.
Right.
If I had a gun and there's just some fool with a gun and there's other people, well, I guess if I know the situation, I know the rest are bitches, then yeah, you're right. I rescind my comments.
I'm no hero. Go find that little kid, Bruce Wayne. He'll protect you.
Jim does make it away, not without taking a few bullets. He's rescued by the same people that have been trying to bust him the whole time, Montoya and Allen.
Obviously, they now know. They can trust him. Fucking Penguin's alive.
It's at this point where you do see Victor Zsasz murder a cop, and then that's the point where he cuts the tally mark into his arm, which is...
It's pretty legit.
Yep.
Actually, I always liked that character in some sick way.
He just looks fucking badass.
Yeah, well, and he's
hardcore.
Fucking sick son of a bitch.
Just that one where he has just all of them, just like no shirt on with all the cuts all over him. It just looks...
Yeah.
Looks awesome. Because I could never do that. I'm a bitch.
Right. I could kill all those people, but cut myself? No.
Fuck that. This episode focuses on Maroney and Falcone warring a little bit, as Falcone wants the Penguin back, and Maroney believes that he is the golden goose of his own crime family. They seem to broker a deal where the Penguin can stay with Maroney unharmed, while Falcone gets a piece of Arkham land that carries some but little value. We do get the scene where Bullock decides to back Jim. I love this scene. Walks in with that fat hooker, just drunk off his ass.
Tells her to go get naked and wait on Gordon's bed, for God's sake. And he's just sitting over there looking like, ew.
But also, I'll allow it.
Yeah, he's got my back. You, fuck that fat bitch.
Sorry, I'm being rude. This is the Duchess of Devonshire. Duchess, Jim Gordon, Putz.
Marsha, hi.
Hey, baby, why don't you explore a little bit? Find the bedroom, put on your birthday suit, and I'll find you in a jiffy, okay? Mm-hmm.
But he decides to back Jim, because why not? They're fucked anyway. We learn that he has a plan to arrest Falcone and the mayor, even if it means his own death, because, that's what would happen. That's what you would think would happen.
Right.
Everything seems to be going down okay. Gets the mayor, gets inside the mansion, sees Falcone. But then we find out that Barbara has been captured by Zsasz.
After Gordon tried to send her out of town for safety.
And there was a key point there. Well, I guess that isn't really a key because what you find out later. But Falcone tells him to trust him, and everything will be okay. And he does. And he seems to let them go. John does have a note that Victor Zsasz's ringtone was Funky Town.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot all about that.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. I guess Funky Town is dead. Take me to dead.
Falcone decides to let them go in hopes of future leverage. The episode ends with Falcone going out to his chicken coop, and you see the Penguin walking up behind him. We have a big twist. We find out that this whole time the Penguin has been working for Falcone. Goes back to the scene where Jim and Bullock were hanging up in the meat locker. Anyway, it goes back a little bit, and Penguin pitches Falcone on an idea to let Gordon be the one that'll kill him, because he knows that Gordon won't kill him, and that the Penguin does one thing really well, and that's snitch. And if he lets Gordon do that, he'll snitch for him from behind Maroney's back. And then the episode kind of ends. Just a big twist, big cliffhanger at the end.
I didn't.
Were you surprised?
No, not at all. Saw it coming from a mile away. And you didn't mention this, but we haven't talked about Jada at all yet. Fish. Oh. And she wasn't as present in these episodes as she had been in several of the earlier ones, which is part of why they were better. I think this episode.
She was almost non-existent in the one before this one, right?
Yeah, and I think this episode was this episode was the best one they've done so far.
Oh, yeah.
This one we just talked about, but. She did have a scene in there where she wanted Penguin dead, and they're confronting him and everything, and her and is it Maroney she's with, or Falcone?
She's with Falcone.
Okay, so her and Falcone are confronting Maroney and his people and Penguin, and she gets in Penguin's face and she calls him a bitch, but she doesn't say, "Hey, you're a bitch." She says, "You're a bitch." Like chews on that fucking word for a while.
You little scaly face bitch. What I'm gonna do to you.
And I don't know if I've ever seen anyone chew a word like that. It's like she wanted to make sure that the word bitch had the most impact possible, and instead it came across cartoony and stupid.
Yep. Her Russian boy toy got fucked up.
Yeah, he got murdered.
That
he dead.
Gone. So yeah, like we said, both these episodes better than
big improvements.
So.
It's almost like they're listening.
Yeah.
Like, oh fuck, we need to tone this down a bit on the corniness.
Yep.
Maybe de-escalate Bruce Wayne's ascent.
We'll see. We'll see how this fighting goes next week.
He's going to learn to fight next week.
All right, so that's going to do it for Gotham this week.
Really, that's going to do it for this week. That's going to do it for this episode of Primetime Super Friends. If you would like to follow us on Twitter, you can do that at Primetime Super. You can also follow us individually. I'm at Legendary Jeremy. Michael.
At the African81.
And through the magic of editing, John.
At Raging Leprechaun.
You can also find us on the web through our other show, pubtalkpodcast.com. We have a subsection there for the Primetime Super Friends show. And you can also check out the aforementioned show, our better, more hilarious show, Pub Talk Podcast. You can do that at pubtalkpodcast.com. Of course, you can find both shows on iTunes or Stitcher as well. And really, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Until next time, stay super, bitches.
Super bitches.
She's a super bitch.